up, everybody? Welcome to a spontaneous live stream here at Electrical Code Academy. Decided to do a live stream here on Saturday for a couple reasons. One, because we're recording it so they can be played later. And two, if you have any questions or anybody has any questions about TradeHog, they're more than happy to answer them here on the live stream. And of course, you can always reach out to us if you have any questions about TradeHog. All right, first things first, TradeHog is an artificial intelligence platform that's designed to help trade folks, whether you're a plumber, electrician, mechanical, builder, doesn't matter, inspector, to ask specific trade-related questions and get code references and be able to get them quickly and in a format that's easy to understand and be able to take it and put those code references in your reports if you want, or sometimes you just need to ask electrical type questions. So we're going to do that today. And of course, if you have any questions you want to ask TradeHog, feel free to put them in the chat and I'm more than happy to answer those questions for you or have TradeHog answer those questions for you. So a couple things to announce. TradeHog has just gone through a upgrade. So it's the latest and greatest module. It's Jeff has finished putting in a lot of the back end work, a lot of references, manuals, and things like that. So that's beneficial. I've been through it to make sure that it is enhanced and gives it in a logical format so that it really helps you in the field get your answers quickly. But one of the real important things that we've done here with TradeHog as far as an intelligence model is redesigned it in how it answers your question. So it answers a question and it will allow you to be able to put more responses in and ask it follow-up questions, where previously what happened was that you would ask a question and you had to kind of ask follow-ups on your own and pull things out of it. And so one of the new intelligent models that we're utilizing that is unique to TradeHog is that it's actually going to try to be specific in where you're at. And it's also going to ask you follow-up questions on your installation to possibly find an alternative to something. Maybe you're asking to do something and it wants to know, well, maybe there's an alternative out there. And it tries to find that alternative for you. Again, like with all artificial intelligence, again, you need to have a little bit of knowledge of the codes and things like that because, again, you don't want to take everything it says as gospel, but it does a really good job, and we'll test it today. I'll show you some examples. I just type in some code questions or some things that you might just generally ask, especially the things that I get asked all the time, and we'll see how it does. Now, remember, one important thing about our AI model is that it is unique in the sense that it's constantly learning. So as you ask it questions, it keeps all that information in a database for us to answer and roll back into the artificial intelligence. So it's constantly rolling that back in. So keep that in mind because we're constantly going to be feeding the hog in order to bring more information. But you know what? Let's go look at it so you can kind of see what the hog looks like. And I'll show you you'll get an example of what has actually changed when it comes. Now, what is it for? For who is it for? It's for anybody who wants to be able to get answers quickly and accurately. I get so many emails, so many questions, people asking code questions. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of these social medias, there's always a TikTok-trician out there who's putting out information that is either false, misleading, not accurate, and they literally believe what they put out there. So one of the things, and y'all know my love-hate relationship with social media, one of the things that when I created TradeHog, it's coming up on a year now, what we wanted to do is make sure that we created a model that was constantly thinking. And that's what it does here in TradeHog. And we wanted to make sure that the results are as accurate as they can be, and also give it short and to the point, even though it may give you additional information. Let's go look at it. So this is TradeHog. It looks differently depending on whether you're on a mobile device or you're on a desktop. It doesn't matter. It works. It changes itself either way. Okay. So I want to show you. So this is what it looks like in this navigation. If it's a If it's on a mobile device, then it'll be just like like a little hamburger over here in the corner, and you just click on that and it'll open up the navigation menu. But what you'll see here is it's broken down into the main hog, and of course, if you want our mobile app, it's right here. And if you want to go to the forums and post any questions to have a discussion, you can do that right here as well. But then you also have the office hog, the about, which tells you a little bit about the trade hog a little bit, contact information, our pricing, and of course you can log in and log out of your account right here as well. All right, so let me explain the difference between trade hog and office hog real quick. So office hog answers all of those back-end questions, HR, marketing, the tax advice. It's, again, not a tax. We're not tax experts, but it answers those things. You can ask a bunch of questions, and we'll ask that. For example, how do I start an electrical contracting business in Virginia? And maybe you've asked me that. People have asked, hey, what do I have to do to start an electrical contracting business in Ohio? And you just don't have enough information on how to get started. Well, most of these AI models bring you back really generic results. We spent a lot of time, and it costs us money on the back end for all of these prompts and in the number of what they call tokens. And so, but what we want to do is we wanted to make sure we created the best prompt format and give you specific answers, okay? So anyway, the Office Hog is only available to those that are in the basic, in the premium plan. If you have the light plan, you won't get access to Office Hog because basically the light plan is just for asking the trade hog, chief hog, some basic trade specific type questions, okay? All right, so anyway, you will notice that you scroll down and we have some examples here that you can use, and you click on these and it'll put it in here, but obviously you can ask your own question in here. Now, you get to try Trade Hog for free for 2 chances, okay? So after the second one, it's gonna ask you to consider subscribing, okay? So we kind of give you, let you play with a little bit. For example, let's go and type a question in here. So again, this is whether you're on a desktop or you're on a mobile device. And you have to remember, this was built by us here at Electrical Code Academy. So it is very, very, very much specific to codes and standards and building codes, plumbing codes. And if it's something local in your area, it will be very specific. And it may even ask you now in the update that we did, it may even ask you to be more specific in where you're at and what your installation is. That's because it's getting smarter and smarter. Also, I didn't mention that not only do we incorporate ChatGPT, the latest edition 5.2, we also include in it Gemini, and we also include in it Gronk. And the reason I tell you this is because we don't just pull from one. All those other ones you have to pay for separately. In fact, in order to get ChatGPT, you're typically going to pay $24 a month. Well, there's no need for that because we not only give you the Office Hog, we also give you the Trade Hog, and it separates the questions. That way, you're very specific, and we don't waste your time. Now, let me give you an example. Okay, so let's see. Can I install? Let's just use trade slang. It says don't use slang, but I'm going to use it here. Can I install Romex outdoors in the ground? Okay, I believe it or not, get this question from time to time, and you may be a seasoned electrician and say, well, that's a no-brainer. But the reason I like questions like this is because they are no-brainer questions, and we should know the answer. But we're going to test the hog, so I'm going to click it. Now, it's a smarter module now, so it takes a little longer to think because it's looking for everything it needs, and it's also going to tell you what's not applicable. All right, so let's scroll back. Okay, so intended classification. Okay, so it says answer, no. It says type NM, often called Romex, is not permitted outdoors or in wet locations and direct burial in wet locations. Wet locations rule, the interior of an underground raceway and direct burial installation are considered wet locations, 300.5b. So it's giving you code references. NM cable use limitations. NM cable is permitted only in normally dry locations, is not permitted in wet and damp locations, 300.410a and 334, 334.10a and 334.12b. Now, here's what's different, and here's what separates TradeHog from any other smart AI model out there. And we designed this for the trades, electrical, plumbing, mechanical. If you have a question you wanted to ask, put it in the comments and I'll ask it. Here it says, what to use instead? Well, it says type UF cable listed for direct burial were installed per burial depth requirements 340.10.1 and 300.5. Individual conductors listed for wet location, for example, THWN, THWN-2, installed in raceways suitable for locations with burial depth per 300.5. Now, here is what's unique now. And we've added this, which is very unique to an AI model. We now have it continuing a discussion with you, saying, look, if you tell me, check this out, if you tell me whether you want direct burial cable or conduit and whether it's under a yard, driveway, or slab, I can point you to the application 300.5 burial depth requirements. Now watch, I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna say it is being installed under a residential driveway. Okay, so I'm following up with it and I'm gonna click it. All right, and so I ask it, it's leading me along. And it does this whether you're asking about conductor ampacity, use, conditions of use, attics, temperature changes, all those type of things now. And also you will notice that it came back in bold print because there are certain things that we want to stand out now. We never had that before. So here you see, yes, but not Romax. Under a residential driveway, you need the wiring method listed for wet location installed in the minimum cover. Romax is not allowed. So it reiterates that so you do not make a mistake. We are very keen on adding that into the model now to make it really clear for legal reasons. You cannot do that, okay? Now, the minimum cover depends on the wiring method and whether it's under a driveway parking area. The cover requirements are in table 300.5 minimum code requirements, okay? Common compliant approaches under a residential driveway. Okay, rigid metal conduit or intermediate metal conduit with conductors listed for wet location covered 300.5. Rigid non-metallic conduit with conductors listed for wet location covered table 300.5. UF, if permitted for the specific installation and protected as required, burial depth under 300.5. Other rules to be aware of. Okay. So if you tell me whether you're running PVC, so we didn't tell them what we were running. All we did was say we're going to run it under a driveway. Do you see how it's thinking now? It says, wait a minute, I told you couldn't use Romex or non-metallic sheath cable for that, but you didn't exactly tell me what you're going to do. So watch. I'm going to say, now I want to show you the limitation here. I ask it 2 questions. Now watch what happens when I ask it a 3rd question. I am planning on sleeving UFB in PVC raceway under the residential driveway. Now, the reason I'm going to tell you this is because this is the sampling. You get to play around with TradeHog for 2 chances, okay? You get to play around to kind of see what it does, okay? At least every hour. You get 2 in an hour sometime, and it will time out after a while. All right, so I'm going to ask you now, watch what happens. See how it's going to think? We'll keep watching. All right, so it's thinking about a response. All right. And then it goes on, it goes on to say, yes, UFB can be installed in PVC conduit sleeved under a residential driveway, provided you follow the underground wet location and direct burial rules. Cover. UFB conduit permitted. Here it gives you all the reference in bold, and I know my head is in the way, so I realize that I am blocking a lot of this stuff, so I'll move myself over here. So it gives you this, tells you can do it, right? Then it goes on and tells you the code reference to go to, okay, to where to get the actual depth of cover, okay? And then here, it also talks about sleeving still, right? And tell me if it's going to be Schedule 40 or Schedule 80. Okay, all this kind of stuff. It continues on and give you this information. Now, if I want to say, now, see how it says I can point you to the exact table, exactly the depth of cover. All right, so now I just show you what happens when it times out. I'm gonna say it's schedule 40 PVC, and it's a residential private driveway. And I want to know the depth of cover. All right, now watch what happens. So this is like the third question it's asking. Notice it, 3 attempts. So actually we have it locked out at 3. I think that Jeff has it scheduled to change to 2, but I like 3 because it gives you a little bit of time to play with it. But you see here, you've reached your limit, okay? That type of thing, all right? So what do you have to do? You have to log in. So let me go up here. Let me go in and log in. And now your limitation will be gone. Okay, now I'm back to Trade Hog. Okay, here. And now I'm back here. Now watch what I'm going to ask it. Okay, now I'm back here now and I'm going to start. It says, can you install, we already know you can't use non-metallic sheath cable outdoors underground. We already established that, right? So this is called building a chain. You always can start a new chat right here underneath me. You'll see that it says new right here, a new chat. I always want to refresh a new chat. So let's say, can you install UFB in schedule 40 PVC under a residential driveway? And if so, what is the minimum depth of cover? All right, so I'm just going to do that question. Hit it. And so we're constantly working on it and adding new stuff into it as we go in order to be even more and more and more specific. So it's constantly learning. Okay, here we go. We've got some information here. Okay, so let's pull on back here. Okay. Now, it says, can UFB install? Yeah. Yes, UFB can permitted in underground raceways, including PVC, Schedule 40, as long as the raceway is a complete raceway system and the installation covers the applicable rules. Again, you've got all these rules in here. There's the rules that say it's okay, right? Minimum depth of cover, right? 18 inches cover for rigid metal conduit, RNC PVC under a driveway parking area, okay? There you go, citation 300.5, minimum of cover, okay? And then it goes on to give other important notes. It says, if you tell me it's 120 volt branch circuit or a feeder, whether GFCI is protected, because it changes, okay? So watch this. Yes, it is a 120 volt circuit, branch circuit, and it will be GFCI protected. All right, so I'm asking it a follow-up question. All right, so let's go back up here. Okay. So even if it's 120 volts and GFCI protected driveway conditions, minimum covers 18 inches for rigid non-metallic conduit installed under a driveway area, yada, yada, yada. Okay. All right. Goes on. And of course, it gives you a bunch of this other information as well. Gives you the citation. And is it still permitted? Yes, it gives you all these now. And it continues on if you want to ask it more questions. Okay? It will go on further. Now, watch what happens. Let me start a new one here. Let me do this. Let me do a new chat. Now, watch what happens if I try to ask it a business question here. This says, what do I need to do to become an electrical contractor in Virginia? Okay, just going to ask it a question here in the hog. Okay, not office hog. We're going to ask it right here. All right, so it's sitting here thinking. You see over here, you see your little dots, you know it's thinking. All right. Okay, now notice what it says here. It says this question falls outside electrical code interpretation. Office Hog is available for basic and premium plans where you can ask business, office, HR, payroll, construction operation questions tailored to your company. That said, at a high level, becoming an electrical contractor and vendor typically involves choosing a license path. So what we have changed is that instead of you having to go to all questions to the Office Hog, we have allowed it to look at the question first and determine whether or not it's technical, and then determine whether it needs to give you some basic information to go on. And if that's the case, it'll give you some basic information. But if you want a deeper understanding, then that's when you would go to the Office Hog. Now watch, I'll take that same question, okay? Let's do this same question. Now I'll go in here to Office Hog. Now, the Office Hog is only available, again, if you have the basic or the enhanced plan, okay? All right, so you have some questions here like, when is my taxes due, yada, yada, yada. What's the difference between a Chapter C and Chapter S corporation and all that kind of good stuff. So let's repost this question down here and I'll show you how it differs, okay? So I'm gonna hit it now and it's gonna ask it to the Office Hog, which is different than the Trade Hog. Trade Hog still tried to help you out, but we're going to ask the Office Hog if it can be a little more detailed. It's thinking because it's coming back. It's going to come back with some information. And you notice that we're no longer limited to the 3 requests. That goes away. Still thinking. It's got a lot of information. It must going to be pulling back for this one. Boom. Okay. All right. That's a lot of info. 9, 8. Wow. So you see the difference? The exact same question, but in this case, we asked Office Hog. Now, why is this different? Because this is talking about becoming a DPOR. It's talking about that, the licensure, ELE classification. You have to determine whether or not you want to be a Class B or A. Okay. Authority gives you the code reference, choosing the correct licensing, ELE, there's plumbing, HSE, practical tips, again, gives you the classification under the Virginia law for Board of Contractors. Then it goes on to say you have to have a qualifying person. That's usually the master electrician on record, whoever that's going to be, maybe you. Then it goes on and tells you what information you need to gather, okay, to show your work experience, training. Walks you through it, W-2s, you, the owner, decide who's the qualified person is. Authority. Then it's going to say complete pre-licensing education if applicable. Okay, so confirm your license, A, B, and C. Okay, gives you the reference for that in case you want to know what cycle it is or what code citation it is. Pass the exam. What do you do now? Okay. Set up the business properly, determine how you want to, whether you want to be an LLC, corporation, choose your entity, register with the Virginia State Corporation Commission. That is 100% correct. That's what we did. Tax regulations, contact the Department of Taxation. They're going to get their money. Determine whether or not any localities require business licenses. Do that. Make sure you do that. Insurance. Virginia contractor's license is separate from insurance. But in the real world, contracting, you typically are going to need something like general liability, workers' comp if you have, if you're more than just you working. Authority gives you where to contact that information, okay? And gives you the step-by-step process, permitting, okay, what you need to do. Authority, step-by-step checklist. Gives you a checklist. Define your scope so that you don't miss any of these steps. You can check them off as you go. And then down here, you see that we give you links to resources, okay? So that you can look up all those statutes, okay? And do the paperwork there as well, right? So, quick question, so I can give you an exact path. So now, this is what you see is different in our models. It is intelligent. It now wants to know what direction you want to go. Okay, are you planning on residential services, new construction, commercial, industrial? You will be the qualified individual. Do you expect to hire employees and so on? And it will give you additional information as you go. Okay, so that is how smart it is today. Okay, now let me do a new chat and say, when are federal taxes due on Chapter S corporations? All right, so I just asking a question, okay? Just kind of going through it and asking it some. This is Office Hog, by the way, for those that are just tuning in. This is the back end that you get for HR, firing, hiring, marketing. You can ask it marketing questions, and it will follow up and tailor your response, especially the marketing stuff, okay? All right, check this out. Look at the detail here. All right. S Corp usually means one of the two of the following. S Corporations, 1120S. That is actually what I file, okay? And then, of course, that's pass-through entity, okay? So you'll get what's called a K1 distributed to you if you're the shareholder. And see, it walks you through the due dates. S is due the 15th day of the third month after the end of the tax year, okay? 15th day of the third month. So in our case, March, okay? There you go, March 15th. Extensions gives you what extension if you want to file an extension. I've always had my tax stuff done on time, but you can. ESCO generally do not pay federal income tax as an entity, passes through. There's your K1, okay? When is all this stuff due? There's your quarterlies are due. My next one is due January 15th. So again, that's for the last quarter of this year, okay? And so there you go. Common things that you can. Here's also, it goes to tell you there's different payrolls. I do a 941 quarterly. So again, all this information here, and you can ask it even more step by step. It tells you what to do, how to do it. Okay, and it even gives you the links to where you can do all these things and get the information you need. Okay, here I can even go on and ask additional questions. For example, what state am I in? Watch this. I'll go, I am located in Virginia. All right. Now, this is different than normal ChatGPT and Gronk and all them, because this is building it based on the information you're providing, and it's only bringing you back very specific information for what you're asking it. This is why we were so excited about TradeHog and to be able to bring it to all of you out there, whether you're a plumber, mechanical, building, doesn't matter. Whether you're an inspector, home inspector, municipal inspector, whatever, having code references, look at all this information it brought back. Look at that. Now, there you go. Additional information, okay? Extensions, brings back all that other type of stuff, okay? And it is going to go on even further. There's your dates as normal. There's your annual returns. Going to give you the dates you need to be aware of, right? But then it's going to go in and give you specific stuff right here, okay? There you go. There you go. All mine. Now mine all gets done for me because we have a tax preparer. But there you go. Everything, withholding, yada, yada, yada. It's all there. It even goes step by step, a checklist, all this kind of stuff, what you need to get. That's critically important stuff, folks, because it allows you to be able to ask it any question you want. Now, the pricing is, there's a light version, which very limited searches, but way more than the free. Okay, it's up to 10 per hour of unique searches or unique conversations, and that is $9.95 a month. Or you can do a whole year and pay it in advance. But then you have the basic, and then you have the enhanced. Basically, enhanced, you're just basically can free at it and just ask as many questions as you want and go for it. All of that is located on our payment page, and I'll show you that really quick so you can kind of get an idea. So here, you just go down to pricing. You click on pricing. And under pricing, you'll see that there's various pricing plans. This is a savings plan of $105. Basically, it's the same as this monthly plan here. It's just, you just pay it annually, so it's a little bit of a discount. There's your $19.95 a month, okay? And that not only gives you the Trade Hog, but that also gives you Office Hog. And we're also adding one more in here. Okay, but anyway, here's an annual one. That's the annual membership, $325. That is the premium version. You get a discount if you just pay it up in advance. Then you don't have to worry about anything coming back. You get up to 50 inquiries per hour. There's no way you're going to use more than that. So there you go. But we are going to add something else to this that's coming very soon. Okay, and it's called Crazy Hog. And I'm just kind of telling you a little bit about it, but Crazy Hog is going to be more like a normal chat GTP type of thing. And so you're going to get very specific. You're going to get Trade Hog. You're going to get the Office Hog. And then with the basic and enhanced, you're going to get what's called Crazy Hog. And Crazy Hog will let you ask it just about anything. And it's going to actually tailor its responses in a comical or humorous way, but they're still factual. So that is something that's going to be available if folks want it. It's just an add-on for the basic in the premium plan. It's just a good way to ask any question you want. Why is the sun a certain color? Why is the sky blue? And it'll bring back funny responses. You're not paying extra for it. We're not going to increase the price. It's something we're going to throw in, and it's called Crazy Hog. But other than that, some of you may only need the light version. And 10 inquiries, chains per hour is maybe all you need. Okay, you're working 8 hours a day. That would be 10 per hour. Okay, so again, it's more than enough. But we hope you'll check it out. It's free to try out. Like I said, you get a couple chances to try it out over on tradehog.net, .com, or .org. It doesn't matter. And real quickly, so that people are aware, there is an About page, and you can read it if you want. Basically, this reminds you, this is all part of Electrical Code Academy. Trade Hog is a division of Electrical Code Academy. So we're the ones that create it. We're the ones that design it. We're the ones that feed it all the information and then tweak it and all that stuff on the back end. That's all done here in our office here in Virginia. Okay. All right, folks. That's all I wanted to go over. If you're interested in checking it out, again, free to try. Plug in something, and we'd love to hear your comments on it if you want. Then if you want to reach out to us, you certainly can and let us know. There's a contact page on our website. I'll show it to you. Right? Hold on. Let's go right here. There you go right here. You'll scroll to, you'll see right here. There's a contact form. You can fill out this information and click right here, and it'll send it to us. And we're more than happy to answer any questions. Also, if you scroll down, that's our phone number. That's our address. And that is our regular email address if you want to send us an email, that type of thing. We're more than happy to chat with anybody. This is our latest latest and greatest thing. It is really something that's going to help stop all the proliferation of improper, false, misleading information on social medias. All you got to do is plug your question in Trade Hog, and it will bring back accurate results. And if it doesn't have enough information, it's going to constantly seek to ask you questions constantly in order to get better results for you. That's why you want to have Trade Hog on your phone. Okay. Now, if you get the basic or the enhanced, or no, I think it's the premium service, you also get access to our mobile app, but you have to have the premium service if you want a mobile app. Otherwise, it's very device adaptive, so you really don't need it. But if you want a quick access to it, then the mobile app is also available on the premium plan as well if you want that. All right? All right, folks. Hopefully you got something out of it. And we'll catch you on another live stream. Again, check it out, tradehog.net. Give it a whirl.